Hey, we're up on Capitol Hill today because, well, let's do something different. I think the House and the Senate are actually in session. Yeah, I see the flag up over the House side, and there's actually a lot of cops here, which means there's probably a vote going on as the police sort of guard. I gotta get on the sidewalk. The police guard this crossing pretty heavily when there's a vote going on. Make sure the congressmen don't get run over. So these are, congressmen have a special lapel pin. That's how you can identify them. And it looks like they're actually holding the light. This is ridiculous. I'm gonna go. Yeah, those guys are holding the light. So there must be a vote on. When there's a vote on, they hold the traffic light so the congressman can get across the street. And it's a gorgeous day today, absolutely gorgeous day. So I suspect a lot of them are going outside other than the street. I'd rather be on the street. So that's the Rayburn building, and this is Long Roach, as I jokingly call it. Okay, so we got squeaky brakes today. This is the other building. Wow. It's like no one's biked on this bike in a long time. So back here are the loading docks and the parking garages for the Congress. This is actually a loading dock here. I think the mail room is in there. And then off on my right are these fountains and areas, and that's actually the parking garages underneath. So let's spin out of the Capitol complex. Here's the Cannon building. Now there's a series of tunnels that connect all these buildings together. You can like walk underground. You can walk underground from this side all the way over to the Senate side and over to the Library of Congress as well. So this is the Republican National Committee and the Capitol Hill Club, which is kind of like a club that's used by Republicans for like parties and stuff. This is where they've had the pipe bomber on January 5th put a bomb right over here next to these two buildings. They also put one down at the Democratic National Committee, which is a couple blocks down the way. Okay, where are we at? 3rd and C, I think, 3rd and Charlie. We're gonna go down to 8th and I. Number 8 and I Street, southeast, which is the Marine Corps Barracks. Hi guys, a lot of you have been asking, are there a bunch of Marines arriving in DC? Well, there is actually a Marine base. It's the oldest Marine Corps base in the entire service. 8th and I, down where the President's Ceremonial Guard is, where the President's Band is kept, and a few other units. It's not that big of a base, but it's a really historic one. The Commandant of the Marine Corps lives down here as well. So let's go check it out, see if there's any new activity. And then we'll head over to the National Guard Armory, which is also up here on Capitol Hill, but it's about 10 blocks away. So it'll be a little bit of a bike ride. And then we'll eat. I believe this is called Stanton Park. I'm not entirely sure about that. But it was in this park that a reporter for a Miami newspaper spent the night. He sat in this park with his eyes peeled. Was it Miami or Denver? I can't remember. Anyways, a newspaper reporter spent his night sitting in this park with his eyes peeled on a townhouse down here. Now, I've shown you guys this before, but it's such a fun bit of Washington history. So this house right here with the green shutters and the American flag, 517 6th Street, is it? That is the house that Gary Hart took a young woman named Donna Rice under the watchful eyes of the media and had his presidential campaign destroyed. The monkey business. That was the Senator Hart was considered a likely Democratic nomination for president until it was discovered he was spending time with a young woman who was not his wife on a boat called Monkey Business and at that townhouse in Washington, D.C. And there endeth the political career of Gary Hart. That house, that's the one. You see that one with the American flag, that white house right over there? Yeah, that's the John Philip Sousa house. John Philip Sousa lived in that house right there. I believe that's where he was born, actually. He was the Marine Corps band leader for a number of years. He wrote a number of famous marches that are still played by marching bands all over the country, even today. And indirectly, the sousaphone was named after John Philip Sousa by another inventor, I believe. That's what we call a tuba, basically, though technically it's not a tuba. Now, he was born over there, and he worked some of his best work just over here at Marine Barracks 8th and I. That white building you see in the right ahead is the Commandant's house. The top general in charge of the Marine Corps lives in that house, the Commandant's house. And let's go take a closer look. We're under the watchful gaze of the Marines. They're inside that little security booth right here. So this is the Commandant's house. This house was spared being burned by the British when the British invaded Washington, D.C. in 1814. I believe they spared the Commandant's house out of respect for fellow Marines. And down here you see the Marine Barracks. Well, actually in the back of the barracks. Oh, there's a bunch of Marines up ahead. You see them? They're in their ceremonial uniforms, their dress blues. And it looks like they're making their way for some sort of training or some other exercise. Let's catch up with the Marines. God, they look so little, so young. They do actually look kind of short too. So you see Marines coming out of there. This could be one of the drill teams. Marching over to a practice. Tomorrow night is a parade. I think we got an ambulance coming too. Yeah. Marines, ambulance. More Marines. There's another group of Marines. And then these are the Marine Barracks, where they actually live. The more modern ones, unlike this old one, which is now mostly offices. So these are some of the officers' quarters. But, so tomorrow night, Friday, there's a big parade here. It's a big tradition in the summertime to come to the Friday night parade at the Marine Barracks. It's a really amazing presentation. You can see it online, but seeing it in person is so much better. Those guys are dressed out in their full blues, dress blues. I think they're probably practicing for tomorrow night's performance. Not sure on that, but that would make sense. And this is the Barracks Row neighborhood of Capitol Hill. A lot of little restaurants and bars and stuff. Bombay street food, extreme pizza. So you guys are asking, you know, anything abnormal? Yeah, it's kind of abnormal to see a bunch of guys walking around in their dress blues. But we didn't see any vehicles, we didn't see any buses, we didn't see any additional Marines beyond that, which we normally would see at that base. That base is, like you can see, you can probably tell, it's relatively small. I think there's just a couple companies, a few hundred Marines are garrisoned there. The White House sentries, the guys that you see at the White House every day, they're based at that base. But there's a much, much larger base about an hour from here called Quantico. Quantico is where they train all the Marine officers. They have a number of other programs down there. It's a huge base. And that's where the big bulk of the Marines in the DC area are based, not at 8th and I. 8th and I is probably just too small and just a ceremonial unit. All right, so let's head on down to the National Guard Armory. It's about another 4 or 5 blocks this way. South Carolina Avenue. Let's take this, because I think this angles its way to Lincoln Park up here, which is just down the road from the National Guard Armory. I also got a text asking me about buses at the football stadium, RFK Stadium. Now I know RFK Stadium is generally a tour bus parking garage for the district. So like when tourists come to DC, the people drop them off and then the tour buses go out to RFK and then they park there until it's time to pick up their tour groups. But maybe there's some other buses you guys are referring to. I mean, that's where we did see all the National Guard buses in that lot during the National Guard deployment. So hey, we'll go take a look. I'll show you what I see. So here's the National Guard Armory. Whoa, parking lot's about half full right now. During the big deployment, this parking lot was full of cars, and not just cars, but military vehicles, as was this grassy area across the way. When the National Guard was deployed in force, this grassy area here was basically filled with military vehicles. Right now, it's pretty quiet indeed. Let's go up on the sidewalk. We do have a guard there at the gate. Oh, there's some special, I do see some special communications vehicles back there that we've seen before. They're Air Force. There's a helicopter. I think the DC National Guard has a medevac unit in the Air Guard. Military police car. Joint Force Headquarters, District of Columbia National Guard. So World War I era cannon. This is the Army. They actually have like sporting events here too. Oh, there's an F-16. DC Air National Guard does have F-16s at Andrews Air Force Base, and they're in charge, part of Operation Noble Eagle. They help protect the DC airspace. There are some vehicles. DC Air National Guard, Army National AR&NG. I guess that's Army National Guard. What's going on over there? There's a big fire truck over there. And that's an old, oh, that's the hazmat crew. Looks like they're having a picnic. DC hazmat truck having a picnic. What do we got over there? About 12 buses or so. Now, during the deployment, this was full of buses, just full. But right now, it's about a dozen. Okay, where else can we go? Let's go back behind, because there's that really cool vehicle. I don't know if I can film that. I'm going to get in trouble. Advanced communications vehicle that we saw deployed during the deployment. Right now, it's just parked. But during the inauguration, I was able to film it downtown, and they had it all set up. Right now, it's just sitting over here with a big bubble dome on the roof. I looked it up. It's some Air Force communications vehicle. I didn't look it up. I put it on a message board with a bunch of guys who know this sort of stuff, and they told me it was Air Force. So that black-blue vehicle you see back there in the corner, with the domes and the antennas. And what's inside there? There's a bigger vehicle inside that tent. Can you see that thing? It's got red and blue police lights. Oh, they're working inside. They got the gates open, the doors open. There's a much bigger vehicle, also the same color, inside this white tent. And I think this blue trailer is probably associated with it. They all have that same sort of color scheme. All right, let's go back down here behind RFK and see if there's any more buses or any more vehicles of any sort that are interesting. All right, let's go. That's RFK Stadium. I just found out they're tearing that thing down. In September, RFK Stadium, the former home of the Washington Redskins, will be demolished. They're going to blow it up. And they've talked about building a new stadium there, but then the people are like, no, let's just build housing in a skate park or something. So I don't think the Redskins, or whatever they're called now, Washington football team, will be returning to the district proper. Boy, it is kind of falling apart. I saw the Redskins win an NFC championship game here. I think it was against the Falcons. And I saw DC United win the MLS championship there. I saw a World Cup game there. I don't think I ever saw a baseball game there. I think I saw Netherlands versus, I don't even remember who they played that day. You'll hear a big train horn in a minute because the Metro subway has a tunnel right here. Oh, there's a subway train coming in. One coming in and one going out. Okay, so let's go over that road. We'll get a much closer view of the buses. So it looks like the only buses that we can find are those ones that are over there, which I believe is the tour bus parking garage. It's not really a garage, it's a lot. I think you have to pay like $30 a day or something. Whoa! So here we are at the bus garage again. So there are some buses here. Georgetown Trolley Tours, Coach USA, Dillon's, I know that's a big bus company. These are some of the same buses I saw the National Guard using. But I think that just every available tour bus. So they're just parked there. Okay. Okay, so that's the National Guard Armory. Truth be told, it looks a lot quieter than I've seen it since back in January. There are a few buses there. I believe, I'm not sure, but I believe that's where the DC government parks tour buses. I found a thing on the internet that RFK Stadium is a tour bus parking area for visiting tour buses, but those actually look local. I don't know, but there's not a lot. There was about a dozen, 12 during the deployment. God, we saw 40 or 50, literally 40 or 50. So so nothing really exciting at the National Guard Armory today. So guys, we're in Lincoln Park up here on Capitol Hill. It's a beautiful little park, and it's got two very famous statues I wanted to show you. This one down here is for Mary McLeod Bethune. Mary McLeod Bethune was a suffragette, a teacher, and a civil rights leader who was generally regarded as the first lady of the civil rights movement, the first lady of the struggle. She made some of the early battles for African American rights and the right to vote. And they honored her with a statue in 1974, about 20 years after she had died. She looks over at this statue down here. Whoops, there's much. This is the Emancipation statue. This is Abraham Lincoln, the Emancipator. This statue was dedicated by Frederick Douglass. It was raised by subscriptions. People donated money. The first woman to donate $1 was a former slave who wanted to memorialize Abraham Lincoln and his efforts. However, the depiction of slaves being lifted up by Abraham Lincoln has rankled some in the Black Lives Matter community who demanded the statue be torn down, or at the very least modified. You can see there's been some graffiti on the side of the statue. They're kind of at a détente right now. I don't think they've made any moves against that statue, but the issue is out there and being discussed. So I actually just realized I'm on 8th Street, which is where the Marine Barracks is, and next to the Marines Barracks is the Navy Yard. And, well, the Navy Yard has a Korean taco place that I feel like going to. So let's head down 8th. We got a green light underneath the freeway in a garage. So we mentioned John Philip Sousa. There is John Philip Sousa, and some photographs of him. That's 1864. The band was marching for Abraham Lincoln. And that's the 1904 St. Louis World Fair. So the Marine Band, their headquarters, they actually have a separate building now, and their headquarters is right over here. Let's take a look at that, because it's on the way to the taco place. So this is I hear drums. Oh, the band's out back. Let's go take a look. So this is, oh yeah, the evening parade, May to August. So this is the headquarters of the Marine Band. And there's a statue of John Philip Sousa back here. But I actually hear some banging drums and rumpa-tum-tum. Let's go back in the back and see if we can see anything. So there you can see Sousa's statue. And more barracks. And here we see a small soccer field behind the Marine Barracks and a bunch of guys with drums. So maybe they're going to have a little drumming practice, marching practice, exercise. So it looks like they're setting up for a little mini concert. But I'm too hungry. Korean taco time. Lots of bulgogi. This is bulgogi beef. It is so good. It's so hot. So good. So guys, I'm on the scene of a school in my neighborhood that just had a massive gunfight. 34 shots fired, several people injured, high-speed police chase, helicopters, 4 bad guys in custody, 2 guys injured, and lots of questions. Secret Service, U.S. Secret Service, and D.C. Metro Police on the scene. Let's go see if I can get some more information. So guys, we are at 34th and Woodley Street. If I go down 34th Street about 8 or 9 blocks, I hit the Vice President's house. There was a massive shooting here, a drive-by shooting, 30 or 40 rounds fired, a couple people injured on a construction site. Total chaos, police everywhere. Now, I can't go up there, I can't get any closer, so I gotta like back off.